Hello, everybody. I'm Dylan.
I'm Elle, and we both love soup.
All right, I think we need to start off. Elle, tell us about your new ride.
Got a new car. A new car. Come on down. Yeah, I'm very excited. Our minivan that we've had for 10 years, the check engine light came on, and we took it to the dealership, and it's basically the whole transmission needs to be replaced. And we're in the process of figuring out, are we going to pay to have it repaired, which is going to cost about what they're giving us for it or whatever. Anyway, so over the weekend, I was like, I can't live without a car because we only have, that's the only car. Yeah, it's 2 weeks actually. And we've been looking, and we had looked at the Teslas because I'm awfully fond of those. But now that what's his name came out as being Elon came out as being such a crazy pants and supporting Trump, I just can't in good conscience buy a Tesla. So we bought a Hyundai Kona electric. Yeah,
all electric.
It's great. And we had a little bit of the first day trying to figure out how are we charging this, because we don't have the charger. They're coming tomorrow to hook up the fast charger to the house, but so we had a couple days of like realizing
range anxiety.
The charging stations for EVs, not Tesla, are not great. No. They're often broken. They're often
and it's so many people. Because there's so few.
They're busy.
Of them,
yes,
they're busy. So they're expensive,
or they're like really low. They're basically like charging
3 days later.
Yeah, like exactly. The first one that we ever went to, it said, when will your car be 80% charged? 6 hours. Yeah. We're like, okay, this is not the right kind of
You can hate Elon all you want, but one thing he was smart was he built, and it's been going on for 10 years, the infrastructure. That's the biggest advantage he has.
I'm hearing is that the government is spending millions of dollars on electric energy infrastructure, and as long as we get a Democrat in office in November, we're all good.
Stick with it.
If we get Trump in office in November, we could be effed. So,
well, that's why you're going to charge it at home, because you're not doing road trips with it.
No,
you can get your full charge and take it wherever you need.
We want to do road trip, because if we get rid of the van, this is it. That's our only car to do a road trip in. But we did think we could rent. We could rent a car
for the 2 times a year.
Yes, exactly. And then
and it's cute. It's white. And you got one that was 1 year old, so you didn't pay outrageous markup.
We drove all the way to Santee, which is about an hour away, just because the one that was here local was black.
And I have black cars, and I tell you, when they're clean, they look dynamite, but they're only ever clean 3 times a year. The rest of the time, even just a little bit of dust shows every scratch. They're hot.
Yes, and that was, I did not want black leather interior, and we didn't. We got gray cloth seats, which I'm very happy about, and it's got a sunroof, which it's almost like having a convertible, which I wanted
for a long time.
So and it's got all the bells and whistles. Like I was driving down to San Diego today with my hands off the wheel and the cruise control on, and I barely had to touch anything, and it's really fun. I've had a 10-year-old car for 10 years,
so you've got a backup camera.
No, yes, exactly.
She hasn't had a backup camera.
I haven't had any bells. No bells, no whistles,
You had a weird aux cord thing.
Oh my God. We didn't have, I couldn't hook my phone up to my car. I was like, I would chin my phone with the cord.
But good on you for keeping a car till it's like bitter end like that. The fact that you had bought an extended warranty on that and you are actually getting paid out on the car blows my mind, because everyone makes fun of the call about the extended warranty on your car, and you guys had one that actually works.
We bought it with the car, and we can't remember exactly what we paid, but I know for a fact we would not have spent more than like $2,000. And Casey we even think it might have been $1,000. So we already used at least $1,000 or $2,000 of it, and they're going to pay us out $7,200 for this car. So we are ahead on the deal. Yeah, definitely. So we drove the car for 10 years and made money on it. So always all
never
good.
Happens.
Never happens. I know. So that's exciting for me.
So we had kind of an action-packed weekend.
Yes.
But we had an action-packed weekend because we made sure we had an action-packed weekend.
It. We always plan things.
And you've heard us gripe about this so often. And I'm now going to call it's the burden of organizational necessity.
Right.
I came up with that today as I'm getting ready to go out of town to visit my mom this coming week.
Brilliant.
No, I came up with it. And I'm sitting here making this list for my husband. It's like things I need him to get done, things I'd like him to get done while I'm gone for these 5 days. And I'm like, why do I have to make these lists? This is exhausting. Why is so much of my energy gets taken up having to prompt people to take initiative
and to plan things.
And
you plan for us even. Like I think most of what we did last weekend, you planned for us. But I often like our weekend. I
consult you on some of this, and you find something. You say, hey, what do you think of this?
Yeah.
I find something. Hey, what do we think of this? Whether it's an escape room or we're talking about we went to Comic-Con and the light show.
I think the most important thing when somebody else is doing the searching or somebody else is doing the finding is to immediately respond. Like, you know how annoying it is when you've planned something and you put it out to people and they never respond. Bueller. Yes. And you're like waiting to make the plan, and you can't make the plan until everybody's on board or whatever, and you don't know what's going on. So I think that's key if you are going to be the participant in an event and not the planner, but also than just paying for it or like saying, yes, I'm in and let's.
And I'm going to add this, not that this is you guys, but in other things I've planned and something recently that went south, the person who's doing the planning, respect the amount of work that it was for them. And even if the thing sucks.
Right.
Don't berate them for that. Don't have that be, or like your plans change, you have to dip out. Don't make it their responsibility. It was hard enough for them to put themselves out there to do it, and the bandwidth, the energy to take that initiative and do it. And if the thing sucks, the thing sucks.
Yeah.
I feel like a little bit about the light show about that.
Oh, I thought the light show was great.
The light show was good.
It was good.
But it was different than what I was thinking. And maybe it's because we had the little squeaky kid in front of us.
Oh, we didn't have squeaky kid.
Yeah, we didn't have a squeaky kid. But this light show we went to was at the Fleet Science Center in San Diego. I think it was, $45 a person?
IMAX screen.
IMAX screen. So big, round, domey screen. I didn't do the VIP. I did regular. So we had to scramble to get like decent seats that we weren't craning our necks.
We were not sitting together for that reason.
We couldn't sit together because of that. Had I known, would have probably paid the extra $10 to get the VIP, but whatever. And it was basically 40 minutes of just funky psychedelic acid trip lights
with kind of pretty music, very cool.
Yeah,
pretty
the guy
music.
was talking and preaching. And
it reminded me so much of. Did you ever watch The Secret, the movie The Secret, about the secret?
No.
Oh, you never did? You never jumped on that bandwagon?
No.
Those of you who remember, The Secret was a movie about, you're fulfilling your own destiny, and like, I know the secret. The secret to life is to visualize and experience and blah blah blah. It was very much like that. His voice was like.
And don't get me wrong, it was good.
It was good.
I wouldn't say it was great.
Yeah.
Now, what you came up with is, since we were going to be down there anyway, Comic-Con, world famous Comic-Con in San Diego, was enforced. Now we don't have badges. Badges are hard to get, and they're like $1,000.
We don't need no stinking badges.
But we wanted to go people watch, so we decided to go down there and people watch.
And I felt like you guys were disappointed because it was busy, it was crowded, it was hot.
I didn't care about
we had to pay $40 to park.
Yeah.
It was
I didn't have any issue with that.
I felt like the boys were a little.
Yeah, maybe Casey a little bit. We had lunch at a nice restaurant, but it was crazy because this is Wolverine Wolverine Deadpool opening weekend. They were there.
Yeah.
And
Ryan Reynolds
Comic-Con.
so everybody was in town.
It was a massive humanity. But still, that was fun. So that was a precursor. Then we went to Beautifica, and so it made for a great kickoff the weekend.
It was a good night. We felt like we squeezed a lot out of this weekend.
Yes.
But
again, had to be architected. I had to buy those tickets. It was the last day for Beautifica. We had to think about that 6 weeks in advance. And such. And then Saturday night, we went and actually saw the Wolverine movie.
Which was pretty good.
I had to pre-order tickets because Saturday night we would have not gotten
and
7
a new
seats
release
together.
movie.
New release. Came up with that. So just the concept of the energy it takes up to prompt people an initiative. And so I'm making this list for Ed, and I'm like, why do I have to spend the time doing this? Why can't I just go off and do my thing? And I realized that my entire life, much energy has spent. But what makes you will get done.
Yeah, I know. What makes you feel like that you have to, or these things have to get done while you're gone? I don't know.
Well, it's not just that. It's, for example, I was going to have Stephanie come clean today, and I thought, why would I do that? I'll get to enjoy my house clean for 2 days, and then it'll be
and then the boys will take over.
So I decided to have it be Monday.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, okay, for her to do an adequate job, there's some baseline pickup that has to be done. So I'm like, I'm gonna have to make a pickup this Ed, because I don't want her spending her precious time I'm paying for doing.
Why don't you just have her come on Tuesday then?
Because she's here for a whole day, it's kind of a little bit intrusive. And then I'm back to work on Tuesday. And
are you taking Monday off?
Well, yeah, I'm flying back Monday. I don't come home until Monday night.
Okay.
So I won't be here for the clean. I will literally be picked up from the airport, 8 p.m., come home to a clean house.
Right. Okay.
So, but then I start making that list for Ed, and then I realize I got to make a list about this. I got to remind him about, man, I can't just up and go. So the concept of feeling the burden of organizational necessity, and that, how do you get off that merry-go-round?
Yeah. We're going away this weekend. We're going to Ventura and Solvang and all this. And this is exactly, I'm doing the same thing. It's like, I am planning every day. Where are we staying? How long is, now we have to add in the bonus of where are we charging? So all of this.
Casey do that.
And there's one day that I had planned on biking, but, there's actually 2 days that we plan on biking. But we can't fit the bikes in the car. So
now how is Casey going to be? You're gone, what, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday?
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
How is Casey going to be 4 days without an athletic activity?
Well, we're doing kayaking.
Okay, that's good.
And then, Morro Bay, we're going to probably hike around, I guess. Mm-hmm. And then...
Our guys don't do well with...
it's going to be
we go to Mexico and we wouldn't mind spending 4 hours on the beach with a cocktail in our books.
Right.
They are bouncing off the wall, trying to create a game out of seashell stacking or whatever to get their little brains going.
I was trying to pick something for Sunday that is like adventure, like let's rent some bikes, let's go do some rides. Unfortunately, we're spending a lot of money to do this kayak trip to the Channel Islands. So I was like,
is it a guided one, or are you just getting the kayaks and you're just...
No, it's a boat ride over with the kayaks.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's a full day, 8 hours of kayaking around the Channel Islands. But so trying to figure out what to do on Sunday, which is our last day, Sunday. And, everything's kind of expensive and blah, blah, blah. And I just was like, you decide. You and he did actually. He came up with the Orange County Fair has started, and so he did come up with that. And he was like, "But we did talk about going and doing that with Dylan and Ed, and maybe we want to do that later. We don't have to do that this weekend." I was like, "Well, I don't know. That sounds fun.
Pull the trigger."
It's not really, just make a decision. Like, let's just go and do this. That sounds good.
So you feel that too, and you hear us talk. I think it's actually, listen back, it's a very much common thing. We talk about our weekends and how we didn't want to have 4th of July fall flat. And, it's almost like sometimes I feel with Ed, I think less with Casey for sure, there's sort of a weaponized incompetence. It's like he will do a bad job at something because he doesn't want to do it. So like if I had ever left anything to him, like plan this, it winds up being the morning of, how about if we drive here and do that? But none of it's been thought out.
Right.
And so that weaponized incompetence makes me take the reins. Because as I think about how can I get off this merry-go-round, to your point, it's like, just don't do it anymore.
There is a level of that with Casey, although Casey is much better than Ed at this kind of thing. But like we went on a road trip with the bikes, and I was like trying to research, and I suck at trying to find trails and things like, so I'm trying to research exactly where we're going to be and are there good trails there and can we ride there and all that. And he's just like, we can just figure it out. Well, then we get there and we're like, well, I don't know, I guess we can just ride around town. There's no plan. If there's no plan, if you don't make a plan,
sometimes
there is no plan.
Sometimes you stumble into it. There's been some great adventures in our lives we've stumbled into. But given the population of this planet and just other restrictions, usually things don't organically work out.
Right. Like Casey was going to leave the Channel Island trip to the last minute, and I was like, it's selling out. We can no longer, there's one that takes the ferry over, and then you get the kayaks there, and then we are on the one that is an actual boat over, and they have kayaks. So it's more expensive because we waited so long, and yada, yada, yada. So there is that. But that's selling out. So if we had waited until Friday to make this plan, we probably wouldn't have been able to do it.
So another fun thing part of our action-packed weekend. So we talked about Comic-Con and the light show and the movie. On Saturday, before we went to the movie, several of our listeners from Northern California came down and met us at a winery.
And they were lovely.
We spent 3 hours with them. Miranda joined us, and we had wine and some little nibblies, and it was delightful.
Hi, you.
So
I'm getting a cat. I'm getting a dog in my lap. Hi. He's so snug. He is the sweetest dog, but he's a lovey, and I don't really want kisses. No kisses. Thank you.
His etiquette is still a little.
Yeah, he's still a little bit of a
edges.
pup.
At least we don't have the corgis today. Barking.
Yep.
So really nice meeting up with
wonderful
friends from NorCal, and one of them lives down here.
Yes.
And so we're going to invite her to
Loop
a couple,
her in.
I think.
Yeah, she lives a little bit farther north, but still close enough that
she's really close to Miranda. She's right by the hot springs. Mm-hmm. And then the other one, her full name was like Roberta Ann, but she goes and has always gone by Bob Ann. I just thought that was the having a man's name.
Yes,
I thought, how cool
you
was
can
that?
relate.
Bob Ann was her name.
Because I would think Bobby Ann or, like something more, but a Bob Ann.
Bob Ann.
I liked it.
That was good.
They were lovely. It was very nice to meet them, and just nice to different folks from different areas and women about our age. Pretty close.
Exactly.
So yeah.
And one of the things they made note of was because they were asking how Elle and I had gotten to know each other and what spurred us on to do the podcast, and we mentioned that we're both from the Midwest, and they kind of did a collective now that makes sense, and
because they're all California girls.
Yes,
they're all Northern California girls.
Midwest, like come on down, everybody's included, doors unlocked, belly up type thing, and it made me think you can take the Midwest girls out of the Midwest, but you can't take the Midwest out of the girls.
No,
not
at all.
Once we say we're Midwest, people do that makes
I can
sense.
almost spot Midwesterners when I talk to them. Like I knew none of those ladies were Midwestern, despite the fact they were all lovely and wonderful. They were. There's just like a instant camaraderie, instant friendship with Midwesterners. I can't either.
I will say that there's different classes of Midwesterners. Like the Ohio Midwesterners are a little different than the Illinois, Wisconsin. When I refer to Midwest, because some people, talk about Kansas, and truly, if you were to be dividing the United States into, 4 or 5 slices, but it says specifically
to me,
like
if you say my Bob, get my bag out of the car, that is Midwestern.
Yes.
If you have that accent, any variation of that, there's the Minnesota kind of shortens that up a little bit, but the Wisconsin
hot pot.
and Illinois is like go Bears,
Exactly.
So yeah, there's
it's like there's some people that consider like Philadelphia, and I'm like, whoa, no.
Actually, my friend Gina is from Western Pennsylvania, and she is very Midwestern, whereas Eastern Pennsylvania to me is very East Coast.
Yeah.
So there is an element of Midwesterny to that. She's also from a farm town, and so we have that in common as well. But yeah.
So that was fun. So we had an action-packed, what wasn't a long weekend by any stretch of imagination. We did a lot of things. Then we drove yesterday down to the cooler weather.
Well, we extended it a little bit by taking Friday off. So
yeah, mid-afternoon.
Yeah.
And then you bought the car this weekend. It was like a lot.
I felt like we crammed a lot into this weekend. And then Sunday we helped my sister move some furniture, and then we met up in Oceanside and played pickleball, which was lovely. Although Casey was a little pissy. He does not like to lose.
And he wasn't playing particularly good.
No.
So we even made a declaration to further piss him off. Where we were like, we're going to hit every ball at Casey. And it wasn't we were hitting every ball at Casey because he always whines that we don't. Because we do.
Yeah, well,
he was making
Ed
mistakes.
does not.
He was making mistakes, and he was the one dumping
Ed will
him to the
pick
net.
on me if there was one point
Ed
where it was
doesn't
like
have any control.
Bang,
the man
bang,
can't
right
get his
at me.
servants. You can't ever say that.
I think he has a little more control than he lets on when he's playing.
You saw his serving. He made one out of every 3.
But I get a little pissed at that
Casey wasn't
because
playing well.
it's like, I mean, how many did he dish into that? Like, I get a little pissed when he says, well, you're hitting them all to L. That's why we're losing.
Next time we're going to count.
We want to count. We want to count.
I'm going to count.
Yeah.
At the end, Casey, L. Oh, Casey in the net.
We need somebody. We need somebody on the side keeping score because it's like
we need an app for that.
Yeah, there's an app for that, I'm sure. But I get a little pissed off when he says that because that's offensive to me. That the only reason we're losing is because they're hitting it to me. No, that's not true. He definitely dished a lot in
many
the net.
unforced errors there. And we had a couple great points, though.
I was playing very shitty because my back was stiffening up. I had the RFA on Thursdays. So
is it feeling better now? Like, are you?
It's better than it was.
You're glad you had it done.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it'll enable you to kayak.
It'll take about a week for it to kind of settle down. I'm still getting a lot of that weird, like, spasming in weird places. I
still don't know how
I'm going to the acupuncturist tomorrow, so that should help. But
all right, so the topic today, I just kind of randomly picked and told Elle what it would be. And it was kind of spawned by two things. One is right now, one of the top movies on Netflix is something called The Beekeeper.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
It's a movie where the premise is at the start of the movie, an elderly woman is letting this, it turns out he's like a former, Navy SEAL ops guy, live in her barn, and he just keeps bees, but she's by herself. Her daughter's in another town, and so he's just paying her rent and is kind of keeping her from being lonely. And she's gets scammed. She gets scammed by this company that wipes out her bank accounts, and her one bank account was she was the caretaker of a charity, so they get like $1 million.
Oh, wow.
Wipes out the charity. It depresses her so bad that she kills herself.
Oh.
And
now I actually, what's funny is I had no desire to see that movie because I'm not a big fan of the actor, but now I kind of want to see it.
And so then he takes it upon himself to figure out what the frick happened, and he proceeds to uncover, the whole web of this, company that's all about how you scam old people.
Right.
And while it's a bit overblown, and that there's these corporations doing it, it very clearly is. There are a lot of scams right now. And I have known, tangentially of people whose relatives have been scammed, something very similar. That they were told, their mother was living on their own, not a dementia or any kind of situation, was contacted by an organization that came across legit, saying that she had won a lottery,
right,
and that she had to just pay the taxes up front.
Yeah.
And she proceeded to give them 6 figures, a lot of money.
Oh my God.
Had to drain like 3 accounts, pulled out money out of a retirement account, had to pay taxes on it and all that, and it was a complete scam.
Yeah.
And she was thinking, and why the reason she didn't tell her children, she wanted to surprise them. She was going to come at them. It was right before the holidays, I think, and it's going to say, "Hey, everybody, here's $1 million for each of you. I won the lottery. It's tax free. Here you go." So she didn't tell any of her family. Say, "Hey, you guys think that this is a little fishy?"
Yeah.
And she lost all her money to the tune where she could no longer afford to live on her own. Had to sell her house, move in with one of them, and then so this happened several years ago. And basically went into a depression. She didn't kill herself like the woman in the show, but it sucked the life out of her, and she felt incompetent.
Well, my mother had a guy called her and said, "Grandma, I need help," and my mom said at the time, at the time she had all of her faculties, and she said, "Oh, well, what's wrong? And I think she even used my nephew's name.
Gave him the name,
so then, he
these
fed into that.
So
and he was like, "I'm in trouble. I need money. Can you wire me some money?" And thankfully at the time, my mom was well enough, or had her faculties enough to know that this is a scam, and didn't end up giving him any money. But there was also an incident where her trying to get a quote to get her air conditioner fixed, and they came out of the woodwork after her. And again, thank God she still had her faculties. But this is what's so dangerous about, we know so many people whose parents are elderly, are still living on their own, and don't have their faculties that well.
Or let's just call them slightly compromised.
Right.
They're not as sharp as they used to be. I could tell you absolutely my dad would get scammed. I don't think my mom and Jim would, because they would ask enough questions and what have you, and they've got their finances sort of siloed. But many of them espouse the old school, and they have everything all in one place.
Right.
And so when that password gets compromised, or they don't know how to work their computer, and someone gets in with a let me take control of your computer screen type software. So a lot of that going on, and
well, your company has gotten hacked 3 times.
My company had to pay a $25 million ransom. So it's out there, and it's not even that's smart. It's people who are, maybe not as mentally acute. It's happening to everybody.
Yeah.
And there's no, magic bullet. There's no magic virus software or whatever. It really just comes down to question everything. And
when you get those emails that they're crazy, they look exactly like it says Chase Bank.
Everything.
It has your name. It looks like your account basically. And then it's click here to log in. Never click here.
Never click. If you think you have an email from Citibank, you go on your computer, you log into Citibank with your credentials, not through that email.
Never through an email.
See what's up. And then if they don't, they have a whole bunch of reports, spam things. So.
And I know I did that like years ago, kind of before you were as aware of this kind of thing. I'm sure, got up early in the morning, was still a little foggy, and clicked on something and started to put my information in, and was like, "Oh, fudge." Yeah.
A real common one that's happening right now. I do a lot of the buying and selling on Facebook goods, right? Marketplace or even eBay,
they always
whatever.
try to scam me.
Oh my God! But it's meant to be this great, almost like garage sale forum, but the scammers have really messed with it.
Yeah.
And if you're doing it, it's fine to do it on there. Just never, ever, ever, ever. If someone says, "I need to verify that you're real, will you give me this code?"
Send me this code. Yeah,
that is the absolute.
That's basically what they've done is gotten into your Google
Once
or your
they get that code,
email,
they can change.
And they're trying to change things.
Never, ever, ever. Same with your Fidelity or any of your investment accounts. When there's two-factor authentication, nobody ever, ever, ever
is going to
ask for that, including the organization. And if they do, you're uncomfortable with it, and hang up and go. You then contact them directly.
Right.
That's my biggest piece of advice. Even Ed almost fell.
I would say never give your information over the phone unless you have called them.
You initiated it. And that you initiated from a number, not in an email, but from a number that you've had outside of that.
Yeah.
As I think about my dad and how something like that, he absolutely could be compromised. And so I started doing some research. And also the Gen X women are sick of your shit. One of the women brought this up as a topic on there about her mother that almost got scammed. And how can you protect them? Because you don't want to treat them like a child.
No.
But at the same time, it's they can have some sizable assets. Or in the case of my example, when those assets are gone, they are helpless.
Yes. And then you're going to end up having to take care of them.
And so this website says, if you can at all do it, ask them to add you to it as an administrator so you can monitor what's happening.
Right.
So in the case
we did that with my mom's Gmail for a long time.
Withdraw money from the bank for this, you would have had to been a signer on it.
Right.
And now a lot of parents may say, I don't want that kind of intrusion. Don't know what kind of relationship you have with your parents. But, as a safety net, if you can pull that off, that's the ultimate one, because then you can be mindful. The other was, if they have all of their stuff or a substantial amount in one account, open up a second account that's one you just funnel in the money they need, and that be the account that gets used for everything. My mom.
Yeah.
It has and then you keep the password to the main one that has all the assets, because then it will never get.
We got a snorty dog over here.
They're chewing on our cords.
Yeah, snorty dog.
So again, hard stuff, hard conversations, because it's basically you're saying to them, I don't think you're smart enough to handle this. I'm barely smart enough to handle it.
This is, again, another example. And we were talking to the women this weekend about this. It seems like everybody we know is going through this to some degree.
Elder care.
The elder care, the aging parents. How do you work with them? How do you help them without belittling them or making them feel less than? And, how can you... you want to get control of their accounts
and protect them,
and
don't want them to make tragic mistakes that they'll be embarrassed about.
And the sad thing is, there are so many people out there also that do take advantage of their parents or their step parents or whatever, and they do try to take the money away. And so I'm sure within these conversations, there's always that, if your parents do still have their faculties and you're like, well, I think it would be a really good idea if I'm a signer on your account, and they're in the back of their head are going, oh, my friend Ruth had,
Johnny took all her money.
That actually did happen to a friend of my mom's, and so she was really reluctant to do that with us, and we finally were like, Mom, we're not taking your money.
Or in the case of where you have siblings, one of the siblings thinks that the sibling is taking advantage, and so then they put up blockers.
Right.
I heard another story about right now where a parent is struggling, not paying their bills. Their house is going to go into foreclosure. So the one sibling is saying, "Here, let me take over. I'll buy the house off of you, and then you just get to live in it." And the other one's like, "Hell no! You're about to get all that equity and do all this." Like, no, this is going to be a pain in my ass.
Yes, exactly.
I'm doing this so that mom isn't left out on the street and makes a stupid mistake because she hasn't paid her real estate taxes. And
trusting your siblings is a tricky thing. I mean, you just don't know how everyone is going to behave when money is involved. People change, and it
does. The closest to families.
I'm lucky that I do feel like I can absolutely trust my brother, who's in control of my mother's money. Not that there's that much money anymore, but I feel like I'm very.
It's the difference between her getting care or not.
Yes, exactly. And I trust my brother, who's taking care of my mom as well, and his wife, who are doing an amazing job of visiting her every day. And I have a lot of faith in my family, I guess. So I'm lucky that way. But that's not the case with everyone.
No. And that brings up some really sticky conversations and shows some kinks in the armor.
Right.
So not fun stuff. It's good to know other people are going through it also. Right. But I've also not heard from anyone any good answers to it.
No.
It's basically, it sucks.
I do love the two-party, what are those they're called? Two-part
authentication.
I love those. Whenever I have an account that I'm like, okay, I feel safe with this.
Because you will never pry that code from my cold dead hand.
And I love my thumbprint on my phone too. That it's like I've got most of my bank account and all that sort of thing can only be opened on my phone with my thumb.
Yeah.
So unless you saw my thumb off, you are not getting to it. So if somebody steals your phone, I think that's really important. Like if somebody steals your phone, they have access to everything that you have.
Until 2 years ago, Ed did not have any locks on his phone.
I didn't either.
Annoying.
I think he was the one that told me to put a lock on my phone.
He was losing his phone left and right, and I'm like, "Are you? No. I even made him originally do like the 6-digit passcodes. Now he's just Face ID, and he's fine with that. But I'm like, are you kidding me with how often he would misplace his phone?
I swear it was Ed that told me. I didn't have any kind of code on my phone either, and he was like, you really should. It's probably coming from you.
Yeah, well, because it happened to him. He left his phone on a bench, and his phone is in one of those, which a lot of people are now. It's your wallet, so you've got like a credit card, a driver's license, a little bit of cash, and your phone. And he had an unlocked phone and all of that. Oh my God, identity
theft, wet
dream, absolutely. So. But we could go on and on about scam stuff. I would just say,
just be careful out there. It's tough. It is. It pisses me off.
Doubt. You have to have doubt.
Yeah, that we can't trust people.
If someone reaches out to you and you weren't expecting the reach out, look at it with very cautious eyes and
never click through an email.
Never. And then there's like the physical safety too. So. Nextdoor. If you have Nextdoor in your community, oh my God, you get to see the underbelly of society with all the wacky things going on in Nextdoor and things that happen in Walmart parking lots.
I know, you see like, look at this video on my Ring camera where the person walked up to the door and was like
testing the door.
Yeah, that's
as a Midwesterner who forgets to lock her door.
Yes,
that kind of stuff throws you off.
We never had keys. We had to actually put locks on the door when we sold the house because there were no keys.
Yeah, everyone's like, the realtor's asking us where our key was, and I'm like, I think we're going to need to have the door relocked.
With 9 people in a house, how many keys do you have to have? So we never locked the door.
And ours had a deadbolt from the inside, so we would lock ourselves in at night. We would do that.
I think we might have done that.
Lock the house up at night.
Yeah.
So you were locked in once everyone was home.
Yeah.
But up in that, throughout the day, people would just do a quick rap on the door and then just walk in.
Right.
That's just how you rolled.
We always walked into people's houses.
Neighbors would walk in. Friends would walk in. It
was kind of an open door policy back there.
It was. Privacy was a very different thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, the physical one, because we've talked recently about should we take some self-defense classes? Mm-hmm. Maybe we go to
should we go to a gun?
We were thinking about
not
thinking about buying a gun per se, but just taking gun safety maybe, which I still think I'd like to do.
I would rather learn like Krav Maga or something that's going to help me if I'm physically attacked, because I don't really want to own a gun, and I don't really see the point of learning gun safety unless I own a gun. Although I also don't want to be the only person without a gun. So I don't know, if Trump gets in office, then we might want to get a gun.
So I was looking at just some brief things, and one of the number one things that people say about safety, and I remember my dad telling me this when I was younger, was walk with confidence and walk deliberately.
Yes.
And what he meant by that is don't look like you're lost, or, especially now you're staring at your phone, looking like you're addled in any way, shape, or form, because that makes you have a victim mentality. And he says, don't be a victim. Now,
it used to be you hold your keys.
Yeah, like
put
a
your
weapon.
Key
They
like
sell
a weapon.
kitty keys now. Have you seen it? It looks like a little kitty
cat. But I'm like, who has a key anymore?
Yeah.
It's like my fob isn't going to do much to you. But, stab.
Push button.
I don't even know if ours does the screaming. Most of the fobs have a emergency.
But no one ever pays attention to the screaming
anymore. I know, it's true. It's
you
just
hear those alarms going off, you're like, oh, what was that?
Yeah.
But see, growing up, I was always on the larger side. I was tall, so I never felt like I was easy prey. It's like, if you're going to go after some girl, you're going to go after the petite little thing. You're not going to go after the 5'10" one and have at it.
I don't think I ever felt unsafe. Maybe
so
I was naive.
Really felt like I would be a victim, even when in Chicago and we'd be walking past Cabrini Green doing something. Maybe I was, again, the youthful naivete. Yeah. But I've never felt like a victim, and so I sort of carry myself like, go ahead, fuck with me, make my day. But I mean, I'm a almost 57-year-old woman. I should be a little more careful when you read these things.
This is why I think self-defense would be a good class to take.
Even just like simple maneuvers you can do.
Yeah, I just like to know that I'm not going to get that I could get out away from somebody if they grabbed me. I don't know.
So this one also made a big deal.
But we're also 56-year-old women, and who's really going to want to rape us?
Right, yeah. It's less about the rape, more about the robbing, maybe.
Yeah, robbing
so they talked about logic. Don't have big open handbags. The whole trend of wearing the hip pack across your chest.
I've always been a crossbody bag girl. Especially when I'm in Europe.
Keep it small because it's much harder for them to maneuver that, and only carry what you need. Don't have a whole lot of things that if they were gone you would be all that sad. And then the last one they said was never, ever, ever, ever pull over. If someone's trying to flag you down, unless it's a actual marked police car, very clearly marked, never pull. If someone's waving, hey, your tires, don't.
Oh.
Don't.
I would probably be stupid enough to.
There's a lot. That is a thing right now that is not just an old wives' tale.
I actually picked up a hitchhiker when I was in my 20s. It was really stupid. I was in Flagstaff or somewhere.
Yeah, that goes without saying too.
Yeah, I know.
Part of the not pulling over.
I don't know that people hitchhike anymore, but that was just. I realized after he was in the car, I was like, "This is really dumb.
This is some straight out of."
He was a young kid. I was like,
"There's something about Mary's skit with the picking up the hitchhiker.
Yes,
it's still
exactly.
one of the best ones
that
ever.
It really is." But yeah, I think sometimes I don't always think things through all the way, and that was one of those times.
Well, we were all so immortal back then, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
Especially in my 20s, I definitely was, or maybe was I 30, 25, 28? I don't know how old I was. I think I was late 20s, and yes, I was immortal.
I think enough about that somewhat depressing topic.
Sad and depressing.
If you haven't seen The Beekeeper, it's a very much like Jason Statham good revenge movie.
I feel like all of his movies are exactly the same, which is why I didn't watch this one.
But the premise is he keeps bees, and they talk a little bit about bees.
He is.
We love bees.
What do they call him in the Italian Job? Handsome. Mr. Handsome or something like that. He is very handsome, but I just don't. I feel like he's a one-trick pony.
Let's see. Drink of the show. We are enjoying what I decided to call the Pesky Paloma. Traditionally fresh squeezed the grapefruit juice. We have some tequila, some sparkling water in there, some lime juice.
This is one of my favorite drinks. Yeah. I absolutely love grapefruit juice, and so any variation, any drink with grapefruit juice.
Tequila is not usually your alcohol.
No, for some reason in a Paloma I don't mind it, and I noticed you rimmed yours with sugar, but not
yours. It was actually a sugar salt blend.
Interesting.
That I rimmed with. But I knew that since I didn't have any tahini or something along the lines you like, I did not rim yours with anything.
Yeah, no.
And Miranda, unfortunately, is busy with work because she's going to Outside Lands this coming week. So she's going to be taking a day off while they go out to that. It's kind of a version of Coachella, right, Zach? Outside Lands? Yeah. A little Coachella-y.
When are they doing that?
This weekend.
Oh, boy, everybody's gone this weekend.
Yes, up there. And we're missing out on the Lefty Ladies Bunko. It's like everything collides at one time.
I know. That's such a bummer.
Come on, life calendar.
I thought it was funny. I didn't realize that we were going the same weekend that you're going, too. It's like...
yeah, and I would normally would have moved my mom's visit, but she very specifically wants us to do the Tour de Lavender.
Which I think is going to be fun. I think you're going to have fun with your mom.
Yeah, we have a thing to do. And this is, besides the wedding, where I really didn't get to spend much time with my mom. And if you've listened to previous episodes, our relationship is vacillated. So this is 5 days with Mom, and I have no buffer. I don't have Miranda. I don't have Zach. I have no buffer. No Ed.
I know.
No dog. Normally, I would come up with Riker.
I think it's going to be good. I'm hopefully optimistic for you.
Yes.
I think it'll be.
I don't have a rental car, so I am stuck.
Yeah.
Electric bikes. Anyway,
I think you have enough things to do.
I think we do. She's like, you're not bringing your laptop. I said, nope, I am off of work. She goes, good. Because normally I'd work like the first half of the day, and the whole time she's poking her head in. Are you ready to go? Are you ready to go? And of course, the times I'd be up there working would be times I would be busier than usual. I'm like, I'm not ready to go yet. We're supposed to be at the Starlight Theater. And, we're going to the movie at that theater.
Have some soup for me. Is that soup place still there? Or did it die during COVID?
No, Toga's decided to retire. And rather than selling...
soup.
We both love soup.
That was the
Toga's
best
soup was, even when Zach and I would go up there, that would be one of the first things we'd do, right, Zach? We'd go to Toga's.
They had the best clam chowder. They had a really good bisque.
He would rotate. He had like 15 soups in his arsenal, and then every day he'd have like 4 or 5 on the menu.
That makes me sad.
Toga's is gone, but he retired. They're having the time of their life.
I'm surprised nobody bought it out because it was crowded.
I don't think he offered it up. I think he wanted that to be his legacy.
He was the soup Nazi.
He was the soup Nazi. Yeah, I still think a place like that
maybe
would
you'll
do
find
well.
a hutch with the recipes in it somewhere.
Yes, exactly. An armoire.
An armoire.
Let's see. And so, soup of the show, crab bisque. And I just recently discovered.
I thought we did crab bisque already. No,
I don't think we did. Oh. Well, this one I want to pimp out this crab.
Crab.
So I found a place online. I think an ad popped up because I talk about crab and I Google soups, and it is snow crab, real snow crab, that they've taken out of the shell.
They've done all the work for you.
You're buying the little leg strip of snow crab. And I thought, you know what? And it's expensive. They sell it by the pound. I'm like, I'm going to buy some. I'm going to try it. It is as delicious as it sounds. It is basically as if you took the legs, cracked them open, and had a perfect pull out of there. It's fabulous.
And you said it's sweet and
it's
delicious.
Sweet and delicious. So
doesn't taste frozen. Doesn't taste like it's been.
Right, Zach? It's good.
Yeah.
We served it with pasta a couple weeks ago. Now, one thing that Miranda said is, she goes, with snow crab, you always felt like you earned it. She goes, I literally laid in front of her, 10 pieces of this crab, and she says, I don't feel like I earned it.
Yeah.
I need to work harder for this. It's delicious, but I'm not working hard. So she still enjoys the crack the legs. There's so much
really
waste.
Good at cracking the legs. So when we had that big feast around the holidays, I was amazed. She ripped through it, and I'm like, I get bored before I'm hungry. Before I'm full.
And yes, exactly. Lemon is in there, and I'm like,
yes,
pain.
Exactly. So you have to bleed for your crab.
Yeah, we have to bleed a little for your crab. So it makes, normally that would have been one of the more time-consuming parts of a crab bisque, is you're going to use the imitation crab, you're going to do the crab and then crack it out. This makes making crab bisque so easy.
So are we having crab? Oh, no, we're not. I was going to say, are we having crab bisque this weekend?
Tonight, but I have plenty of crab still, so we're having crab tonight. But then when you guys get back and we have a trip, we're going to have a crab bisque tonight. And along with my bread, because you still haven't really feasted too much on my bread. I made a really good loaf today.
Really good. What I've had has been fantastic.
I've been playing around with
I think you should try the rolls. Remember the rolls at the restaurant?
So I'm going to make, we did. The restaurant we had fabulous sourdough rolls.
God,
and what I think
delicious.
They were discard with active yeast. So
they're really fluffy on the inside.
I'm starting to look at the recipes for that because I have a ton of discard versus a traditional, more dense sourdough. So I'm going to play around to try to find the optimal. Because
those would only be good warm. Is the problem? Like you definitely
and
have.
They had a coarse sea salt on top.
Sea salt on the top.
That was a winner.
And the butter was fantastic. I think it was
like
an unsalted
whipped butter, So you got all your salt that was already on the bread.
Oh, wasn't? I didn't think it was unsalted.
Yeah, that's what it complemented the bread so well because you got all the salt on the bread.
So good.
I was doing a postmortem on
it. It reminded me of that bread. It was a totally different kind of bread, but just like the
at the Michelin?
yummy at the Michelin restaurant
that
bread.
Black bean bread. Did we ever find that recipe, Zach? The black bean bread recipe from.
We should find that.
Valle?
And it was the dip too. Whatever the dip was. Do you remember what the dip was? Because that I can't remember
we need to
at all.
Find that.
Yeah, that was so good.
But anyway, that
the best part of my Michelin $400 meal.
Now the book.
Oh yeah,
400 was 700.
My half.
Yeah, that's true. This is your book, so I'm gonna let you talk about The Irish Eyes Are Lying.
Okay, this is a series of books by what's her name?
Jean Granger.
Jean Granger. Jean Granger has written several series. This one is called.
We love a series because once you get hooked, then you can audible it up.
And I can't remember. I think there's 7 or 8 books in the series, and it's the The Kill something. It's Irish.
When Irish Eyes Are Lying?
No, that's the name of the 4th book.
Oh.
You didn't write it down.
You texted it to me.
I know. I texted it to you.
It is the Kiltegan Bridge series.
The Kiltegan Bridge series. Yeah. So a great series based in Ireland. Lots of great characters. I believe this one was set. I read several of her series, and one of them was set in like the 30s during the war. This could be that one. One was set more during the fight between the Irish North and South. Yeah. And I can't remember which series. But any of her series are very, very good. I quite enjoyed them.
Well, that was one thing. So did you buy anything on Amazon Prime Day that you're absolutely loving?
I did buy things, but I don't remember what I bought.
I bought a Kindle Scribe.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And even though
Are you enjoying it?
So far so good. I'm using it mostly as my notebook for work. It came with Kindle Unlimited, so I'm seeing what books I could get on there.
This is on a Kindle Unlimited. Her series.
Her series, yeah. For when
Unlimited.
I want to read. I mostly listen just because usually by the end of the day I'm like, I don't want to be. But I like the device. Got a cute little cover for it. It was insanely low price.
Yeah.
I mean, I bought Ed that Remarkable for Christmas, and that was $450. He already lost one of the pens, and so I had to buy $90. Don't even get me started. The pen is less expensive. The device, I won't feel bad if something happens to it. Miranda was hoping, she heard I bought it, and she's like, oh yeah, you're going to get sick of it, and then it's going to become mine. And I'm like, honey, I don't know if I will. I've been loving taking my notes on it for work.
I have a Kindle Paperwhite, and the reason I love it is
small.
It's small. It's not an LCD, LED. It's not an LED.
Neither is mine.
Light. So, and I can read at night.
Less eye fatigue.
With less eye fatigue, and I read at night under the covers, so I don't wake Casey. But I can read,
How respectful you are.
in the middle of the night. He yells at me if I don't read under the covers. But I use it as a flashlight. I go to the bathroom with it sometimes. Yeah, it's just really handy. It holds a charge forever.
Paper, because the Scribe was inexpensive. The Paperwhite is downright
it's
affordable.
like nothing right now.
It's like $40 or something.
I think I paid $80 for mine 5 years ago or something.
So it was a super bro deal. The Scribe was new, and they were wanting people to do it. And then, of course, they're hoping to hook you in with the subscription. They gave me 3 months.
I do
free.
love my subscription to Kindle Unlimited.
I don't know if I'll stick with that because I still do so much audiobook, but like Kindle and Audible are kind of together. So I'm trying to figure out if there's some sort of commingle thing.
The Kindle Unlimited. Most of the books I read are on that. That's just how I found the Porny sisters.
Oh, yeah.
This is how I found this woman.
I'm on the last one. Finally on book 9.
Oh, are you? Okay. Yeah, it's the end of the series.
Yes.
But like I found so many great authors that I never would have found had I not had Kindle Unlimited.
And it's not that expensive. But
no, it's
about my
totally worth it for me because
advice.
I read so much, and then every book is $8 or $8, and if we read 4 a month or 5 a month,
my Audible is I do 3 a month, and it's $40.
Mm-hmm. So
another one of those subscription things, but loving my little Scribe.
Good.
And then the other thing that I got that Ed was just setting up for me today is, even though I have a Tesla, I have an older Tesla, and so mine doesn't have full frontal dash cam. I've got like a rear full frontal dash cam. And there have been so many accidents lately.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have witnessed car accidents. You see them posting on Nextdoor and on Facebook and everyone. Some horrendous red light running crazy ass people. And was one woman had posted one. She's like, hey, if you were involved in this, here's the footage. Please take it. And the person was thanking her because it made the difference in being able to catch the person who was doing hit and run.
Yeah.
So on Prime Day, I bought myself a dash cam. And it's one that suction cups on and off. It recharges, so it doesn't need to have to be wired in. And like when I take Polly out for a drive.
I do always wish that I had that.
If this one works out as good as it is.
When those Rugrats were riding their e-bikes in the middle of the road doing wheelies, and I was being a bit of a Karen and leaning on the horn on them, I would have loved to have had the dash cam because I would have posted it on Nextdoor and said, whose parents? Who are the parents of these children?
Yes.
Because they are riding in the middle of the road. And it's funny, I passed them today on my bike ride. I don't think they recognized me as being the same Karen because I wasn't in the minivan, but
that's right.
I kind of smirked at them, and I just thought, I should have turned around and said, the reason I was such a bitch to you is because you're making e-bikers look bad.
And we're gonna lose
that's what really annoys me about them. It's not that they're,
have fun. I mean, we did
have fun,
shit,
exactly,
hanging out and stuff, but now they have tools to actually kill them and kill other people.
Right. And riding in the middle of the road when there is a huge bike lane.
When I was
on the
bombing
side.
with my non-motorized go-kart down a hill and crashed and scraped myself, the only one I was going to hurt was myself.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'll let you know how this dash cam works. It was, again, very reasonable. And it charges up. It holds like a 5-hour charge. The SD card has a looping like 24 hours. It's meant for people who are Uber drivers, so it's got incredible capacity.
Oh, that's cool.
It suctions on really easy, so we can transfer it when we want to drive Polly or it seems like a good safety thing to have.
Yeah.
It has a front and rear. I mean, you can see your passengers. We're turning that feature off because I don't need to be videoing who's in my car because I'm not an Uber driver. But that was another one of my...
Although it would be funny.
There was another one of my purchases that I did on Prime Day. They suckered me in with that.
That must be what, like, the comedian... Like, if you watch YouTube or whatever.
Cars. Cars.
Like, that must be what they have because they... Who's my Wisconsin guy that I love?
That you went and saw.
I know.
Oh my gosh, I'm drawing. Senior moment for us.
I know.
We got to come up with this. That's
Charlie Barons.
Charlie Barons.
So
Good
Charlie
job.
Barons has a couple different videos with his grandmother who loves to gamble and his aunts, I think, and maybe his mom that are in the car. And oh my God, they're hysterical because it's him driving and then Grandma Barb, I think, or I can't remember what Grandma's name is, but Grandma is a hoot and just hilarious, and it's just the camera, in the car, and
So those are two purchases I love.
Yeah. I did buy a. If anybody has ever had a Fitbit, they know that they poop out after
right when the warranty's up.
1 year warranty. I've had 3 of them poop out 1 year after purchase. So I gave up on them this year. And this year when my Fitbit died, I bought the Amsbit, which is the Amazon knockoff. And it was way cheaper. It's like half the price of a Fitbit, does all the exact same things.
Looks exactly the same. Your watch bands fit.
But so I had bought one about 6 months ago, and then I it was when I put the privets in, I wore it, and it just scratched the shit out of the glass or whatever. And so it just has been looking crappier and crappier. And so on Amazon Prime, that was one of the things, was a new Amsfit. So I bought myself a new Amsfit. Unfortunately, it's the newer version, and all my watch bands do not fit now. It's like why would they change it? It's just a hair longer. It's like the stupidest thing.
Metric and
I'm sure it's a gambit. They just want me to buy now. I had bought so if anybody has an Amsbit older version,
you want some watch bands?
And you want a bunch of watch bands, or if anybody has a Fitbit, I think I had I can't remember
I just did a big donation.
But I have a million watch bands. I have some really pretty watch bands for my Fitbits too. They're the wraparound beads and stuff. I keep looking at them trying to figure out, how can I take that off of there?
You'll wind up losing your Amsbit if you
it's gonna fall off. Yeah. Anyway.
Let's see. My song, Living Rent Free in My Head. This came on. I was listening to Audacity WXRT 93.1 Chicago, and this song came on the other day. When You Were Young by the Killers. And the Killers are actually based here out of San Clemente.
Can you snap and clap that one?
When We Were Young is
I can't, I don't, I
He
know
doesn't look a thing like Jesus.
Okay, gotcha.
That song.
All right. And mine, I'm always on my way over to see you, and I go on my way. And so this morning I was like on my way, and I thought of Rusted Root. Send me on my way. Send me on my way. On my way. Send me on my way. On my way. On my way. Yeah, sorry. So that's my song.
All right. Well, I think that about does it.
Yeah. I'm Elle.
I'm Dylan.
And we both love soup.